Welcome back to the Journey Unfolds. And this week, I am feeling it. I am feeling on fire. I know things are coming, and I am ready to dive in. So today, I'm going to go a little bit deep. And I want to start off with scripture because this particular parable is something that has truly supported me and maybe scared me a little, and all the things in terms of my business and what I'm here to do on planet Earth. So I'm going to read the parable first, the parable of the talents. If you're familiar with it, great. If not, this is it. And if you are familiar, obviously this will be a good refresher. So this is Matthew 25:14 to 30. The parable of the talents. For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. And so also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent, he went and dug it in the ground and hid his master's money. Now, after a time, the master of those servants came back and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, and said, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here I have made 5 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And he also had the 2 talents servant come up, saying, Master, you delivered to me 2 talents, and here I have made 2 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He also, who had received the 1 talent, came forward, and he said, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and I hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours. And he returned his talent. But his master answered him, You wicked and slothful servant. Ouch. You knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I have scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Ouch! Okay. I got to share with you. I've read it 150,000 times, and it impacts me differently every time. And that's what I want to get into today. So here's the thing when it comes to the talents and what we've been given, I've always understood the multiplication part. That's easy to understand. I mean, it's about investing what you've been given. It's about going out there and reproducing those gifts and creating an impact. So in other words, don't bury your gifts and your talents, and use them for good. But what I never understood was this. So for me, over the last 15 years of being in business, I have invested my talents, I've invested my resources, I've invested my time and my effort. But if I'm honest, there's also a big piece of me that was burying them. This is where it gets a little bit vulnerable for me. There was a lot of fear, insecurities, self-doubt. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. I am terrified of failure, but I'm also terrified of success. Fear of judgment was ruling the roost in every way. So the issue was never so much about not knowing what to do or how to invest my talents. The issue was just all that stuff on the inside and in my subconscious that was blocking me from doing it. And so here's what I felt compelled to share today is even now, 15 years later, at 48 years old, I still grapple with those old stories, old patterns, old beliefs around who do you think you are? And you're not good enough, or you actually think you're going to succeed with this thing. And it's crazy to me because on a rational level, I know better. I have created success and I am valuable. But if I allow it, there's almost a vortex of old beliefs and patterns that will swallow me whole if I allow it to happen. And it has happened multiple times. I've sought so much counseling, coaching, support, RTT, the list goes on and on and on around why do I feel like money is out of my reach? Why do I feel like I don't deserve it or that I'm not worthy? That it's always around the bend, it's around the corner, it's inaccessible. And it's almost this feeling of, well, because I'm not like everybody else. I am broken. I am incapable. I mean, there's all the lies, right? The devil spews lies left, right, and center all the time. But for me, it was keeping me kind of like clinging onto a life raft in the ocean. I could never get myself up on the raft. I could only like cling on barely. And I spent many, many, many years with that sort of mental mindset around pretending it's not there. Like I'm going to be fine. Next month will be better. Next year will be better. Tomorrow will be better. But the problem is that same pattern has a way of following you everywhere you go. And so as a business owner, there's been a lot of shame, so much fear, so much insecurity that has lurked in the shadows, always pouncing just when I'm about to do something big and scary. And so here's where I'm going in terms of the journey unfolds. What is this all about? Why am I even here? Why am I even talking about this? Well, like I've shared in previous episodes, I really am here because God's calling me into this, and I don't even understand the full picture yet. That's what I want to make abundantly clear to you, because that's the beauty of obedience. That's the beauty of surrender is you don't get to see the full picture. You just get to see your next step and your next step. And what's been beautiful about this week is that those steps have come very clear. It's like, oh, and then I get very excited and animated because I'm like, of course, it all starts to make sense, especially when you let God lead. And so the real enemy in all of these years of building a business was not for lack of opportunity. It was not because I wasn't good at what I did. I've had the opportunities, I've had the skills, I've certainly had the relationships, I've had the gifts, the talents, right? And then underneath it, when you have that old story, that old program that continues to come up, it's like, who do you think you are? It's that old identity, it's that old wound. And like I shared in my first video of this series, I spent, and this wasn't intentional. Let me be really clear about that. It was not intentional, but I didn't know my ego was running the show in the sense that I was running a business to prove myself. And in my head, I was trying to prove to all the naysayers, all the people from my really young life who told me that because you have hearing aids, because you're deaf, you'll never be able to do what a normal person can do. And this was just a narrative that sunk deep into my subconscious. And it took years, and I'm still working on it, years of work, hard work, and prayer to unpack that, to strip away those lies and start seeing that why do I think that having hearing aids has been a handicap? Why did I think for so many years I was broken, I am disabled, I am all the things, when actually it's a gift. It's really a gift. And God wants to use my pain, my limitations. I say that because, yes, it's very real. There are certain things I struggle with every day with the fact that I don't hear the way a normal person does. But it's not the kind of limitations that I think the devil has me believing that I am somehow incapable or I need to, just get over the fact that I'm never going to amount to what a successful, and this is funny how we tell ourselves these stories, but I always saw, a regular hearing person, like my siblings, they seem to have no problem being successful and doing all the things. Me, it's like I almost had to go through another layer. I realize now that the layer was never about my hearing loss. The layer was about the lies that had been told to me and that I had come to believe within myself. I believed that I had an extra layer to work through. And that is something that really comes into play in my life now, recognizing that I'm not holding my talent or not investing or not doing what God's calling me to do because I'm trying to be spiteful. And that's why I said, ouch. The poor guy probably was just scared. And I think we all are to some degree. We're scared. Like, what if, what if, what if? And it's not that we choose to be, it's just that our life experience has created that. All that to say, we're still fully responsible for how we handle it going forward, especially when we become aware, right? And so I realized, and I've realized this over time, but it's been especially recently, that my definition of abundance, of money, of wealth, and wanting it without, I mean, if you've been raised this way, you could totally resonate, I'm sure. It's this feeling of, but it's greedy. I don't want to be greedy. And I was so afraid of that that I would intentionally not seek it. So what does that do? Well, it impoverishes you. It makes you live in a place of lack and scarcity and fear. And those things don't create the kind of abundance that God talks about. Yeah, I remember having a conversation with a friend not long ago who was struggling also with feelings of lack and scarcity and there's never enough. And I said, well, if God is your creator and he has a design for your life, do you really think that when you look at creation, do you see lack? When you look at the trees and just how many leaves are produced on one tree, or you look in the field, how much grass is produced in a field, or you look at the flowers, you look at the birds, you look at the mosquitoes, there's an abundance of those, and you look at all of these things, abundance is everywhere. But we have come from a place, we have allowed ourselves to be that one servant who is so afraid that we bury it. It's better to hoard it. It's better to keep it safe and not share it because, oh my gosh, what if we lose it all? What if we lose it all? But the truth is, money in and of itself is not evil. It's neutral. In the same way that alcohol in and of itself is not evil. You can have a glass of wine. It's when you need 5 glasses a night that it's becoming a problem. Anything is not evil in and of itself. It's how we utilize the thing. But here's the thing, it's not just about money. That's important. We need that. We need a way to feed ourselves, to clothe ourselves, to create the impact we're here to create. But it's actually about influence. It's about opportunity. It's about impact. It's about shining our light brighter. And we can't do that when we're coming from fear and lack. And that's been a massive lesson for me. Even still, I have moments, I've even had days where I literally can feel those feelings of unworthiness pop up. And they can feel so profound that I look at my computer and I go, what am I even doing? I'm sure I'm not the only one. I think we can all relate to that to some degree. But the recent shift that I made from needing to prove my worth through performance, through perfection, through doing all the things and saying all the right things, all of that stuff, metrics, I realized that doesn't define my worth. But you know what? I think I knew that rationally. I've always known that. But there's a big difference between understanding a concept and actually having it sink into your heart as truth. And so recently I've learned that I am worthy because of my identity in Christ. I am not worthy because of my performance or what I earn or whether or not I'm successful. I am already worthy because my value was settled long before I earned a dollar. I don't have anything to prove. If we really stop to think about it, maybe the servant who buried his talent wasn't lacking ability. He was obviously operating from fear. He had not learned how to get beyond that. And I feel sorry for him. Let's be honest. I think it's part of the human condition. We're not perfect. We don't have it all figured out. And this whole being cast out where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth, I remember reading that as a kid and being like, oh my God, I'm going to hell. I don't think that's the intent here. I think it's about responsibility and taking ownership for how we choose to show up going forward, addressing those old narratives and stories that are so painful and real. I share all of this with you because something that's become very clear to me in the last couple of weeks, honestly, is I struggled for so long barely making it with my business. In fact, multiple times I had to go and get that extra job just to supplement my income. I had to borrow money. I've shared that I've put us in debt. I just, it's so brutally painful when you know in your heart of hearts that you have these talents that you're meant to invest and produce. Well, what the heck? You invest them, 75,000 US dollars worth, and you don't make a dime? I shouldn't say that. I've made money, but I can't tell you the shame that creates when you're trying to do something out of faith and then real life happens and real results and the pain of not feeling worthy to receive shows up over and over and over. And so you compromise and you self-sabotage it's been freaking brutal. Let's put it that way. And it's been a cycle that I've struggled to break free from. And I realize now with this opportunity that's been presented to me, I've realized that I'm here to help others who are going through that exact same thing. Because here's what I really want to say, and I'm going to be talking about this a lot in the next few weeks, is we don't talk about this enough. We put on a certain persona or a certain image on social media, even in our emails of, look at me, I've got it all together, I'm making money, I'm doing well. But you know what I've discovered in all these private conversations with people who are also entrepreneurs? I'm hearing like, yeah, I didn't make any income last month. I'm still trying to figure out how to get through that. Or, man, what was working before sure isn't working now. How the heck do I find my way forward and generate revenue? This is the reality that people are faced with, not to mention the reality of inflation and the world and what's going on. And so I feel like it's more important than ever to let God use me to help others in this regard. And he's found a way to do that. He's shown me the way to do that. So there is a program that I recently found out about. I've shared about it in the past, but it's through a good friend of mine who I trust completely. And I have spent the last week diving in, doing the training, becoming certified, doing all the things for this particular income generating opportunity. And I am so blown away by how well put together this is. But more importantly, I have to say this. I've been invited to countless opportunities to make money on the side. So many things, so many things. And I've not said yes to any minus one. And the only reason that didn't work out was because I don't think the person who founded it really thought through the long term. But this particular thing is called the Digital Growth Community, the Legacy Builders. And I love this because Michelle O'Neill is the founder and she really talks about integrity first. She is all about ethics. Her heart shines through, where all she wanted to do was create a way for people globally, and it is all over the world now, to make money online. So think of it like a digital marketing school. It's all about education and training to help you actually be successful in online business because there are so many variables. And I'm really lucky because I've been in this space. I joined online in 2020, and so I understand a lot of the concepts already. I understand digital marketing, I understand emails, I understand funnels, I understand conversion numbers, I understand all of these pieces. But what is so mind-blowing to me, and I want you to understand, I'm sharing this from a place of complete authenticity and transparency. There's no hidden ulterior motive here. I can see why God directed me to this. But this is not a pitch. This is an opportunity where I've signed up, I've invested money, and it's a one-time investment, one and done, and I can now turn around and just make income going forward. I need to commit to 2 hours a day, every day going forward, and I'm more than happy to do that because my business, my other stuff can be done as well. I could be doing 2 hours on this and be doing 4 hours on that or whatever it looks like. It's just the beauty of this is this. When you let go of ego and you stop thinking that it's up to you to figure it all out and show the world that you're capable, other opportunities show up. And this one has landed in my lap as this beautiful way to help others because it's all done for you. As long as you commit to doing the 2 hours a day to build your own digital business, you will make money. So Michelle O'Neill, the founder, obviously she has built the machine. Everything is done. The funnels, the emails, all you have to do is go through the training, which is what I've been doing to get all set up. Now, I'm happy to share more information with you in the coming weeks about this opportunity, but I want you to understand something. What I'm here to do, this journey, the unfolding of this journey it's not even about that. It is and it isn't. It's about showing you by walking in real time through this journey myself what's possible when you let God lead, when you literally surrender and trust that He has your best interests in mind. And so, what's been beautiful about signing up for this and making that commitment is that it's forcing me to confront every single old belief that I've carried about money, worthiness, abundance, about what's actually possible. And that's the thing. There's this old story saying, look at all these people. I mean, it's 60,000 plus people in this community all doing amazing things. And of course, this old story pops up like, yeah, but that's them. How are you going to be successful with this? And so, as of today's date, which is June 3rd, 2026, I only joined last week. I've managed to get all my training done. I've got all my integrations now set up. So, I have not turned around and made a sale. I want to be clear about that. What's really important about that is I've put in my investment. I have invested my talent, right? But my job isn't to just sit there and go, okay, waiting for the money to come. It doesn't work that way. I understand, and I've gone through the training, and I understand what's involved in promoting this. And I only promote things that I believe in. I only promote things that are aligned with my values, my general beliefs about how things should be done. I believe 1000% in natural selling through attraction marketing, not forced pitching. And I'm not interested in begging anyone to join me. I'm using this as a vessel by which, okay, God, I'm here. I've signed up. I'm doing the thing. And I want you to walk with me every single step of the way. And He will. And what's so mind-blowingly exciting to me is that I have an opportunity to prevent other entrepreneurs like me, purpose-driven entrepreneurs who are doing the thing because they feel called to do it and they just love what they do, but are struggling with that feast or famine cycle. I don't want people trapped in that anymore. I was trapped there for way too long. And I was always open to an opportunity, but it never came until now. And I think there's a reason for that. I think I needed to go through that form of wilderness in my life, of struggle, 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 to understand and to empathize and to be able to say, you know what? There is a solution. This isn't just a financial solution, it's an emotional and spiritual one, truly. Because if you think about it, if you're running your business and you're constantly experiencing anxiety and fear around where's my next dollar coming from, how heartfelt is your service? It's being drained by that fear and anxiety. And I can speak from firsthand experience on that. So I finally have reached a point where, wow, I can continue to build my business that I love so much. And I can do this because it fits so perfectly with everything I'm already doing. And it allows me to go out and help other people create financial freedom so they too can experience this freedom. Because I don't believe that God put us on this earth to struggle, to feel like we're carrying the burden of finances everywhere we go, especially in the world we're living in. It is more critical than ever that we take charge of this, that we generate revenue in a way that lifts everyone up, not just me. And that's what I love about this program, is that it's all done for me. I do my part, but by doing what I do, I can help other people. And to me, that is everything. It is everything. And I finally believe, perhaps for the first time ever, like really believe in the depths of my soul that I'm able now to receive the abundance that God wants to bring in my life. Because the more that I have, the more I can give. And for so long, I've wanted to give, but my giving quota has been limited because it was buried. I was so afraid. I was so afraid to part with what little I felt I had. And everything has changed. So to wrap it up, I just want to say one thing. I'm still walking this thing out. It's not about I've reached my destination and the fear has magically gone. Obviously, the doubts and those old stories are still going to pop up, but I'm choosing not this time to bury what God has entrusted me with. Because when those fears show up and those doubts, I immediately say, Jesus, correct me. Please shift my mind, shift my heart, shift my soul so that I remember that those old stories and those old lies are not from you. So now I've chosen to take the leap to invest this gift, this talent, my experiences, my story. I'm investing it now to reach people, and I'm choosing to trust in Him. And here's the deal. I'm choosing to see what happens when faith by far becomes bigger than fear. I can't wait to see what comes out of this. Now, if you're curious or interested in this opportunity, drop a comment. I'll reach out to you personally. I obviously will have more to say about it as the weeks unfold, but this is me going through this experience in real time so that you can see for yourself that there's nothing spammy, there's nothing weird, there's nothing gross about this. It's just Katie going through a journey that God is leading me down. So I hope you'll continue to walk with me, and I'll see you next time.